Ah, poetic, isn't it? They once whispered your name to stain your truth. Now they scream it to prove theirs. You got them using your name to expose their own lies! That's not revenge. Darling, that's poetic justice dressed in irony. The same mouths that mocked you now need you to validate reality. You didn't fight their game. You rewrote it. You turned the tables without flipping them. That's what power looks like when it's quiet, clever, and cold. So sit back, smile wide, and let them choke on the truth they once tried to bury you with. They laughed when you spoke. They rolled their eyes when you stood your ground. Every word you said, they twisted. Every truth you carried, they buried under noise and doubt. But time has a beautiful way of revealing what's real. Because when the lies start collapsing, when the masks begin to crack, guess whose truth they come running back to? Yours. The same truth they mock becomes their only shield. The same voice they silenced becomes the only sound that can save them. That's the power of truth, quiet, patient, and undefeated. The world often forgets that truth doesn't need to shout. It doesn't chase validation or beg to be believed. It simply is. And while lies travel fast, truth walks with certainty. You might be discredited, ignored, or humiliated for a moment, but that moment is temporary. Eventually, when the smoke clears, everyone sees who was really standing in the fire and who was just pretending to handle the heat. That's when tables turn. Not with drama, not with revenge, but with quiet realization. You don't even need to say, "I told you so." The universe whispers it for you. There's something almost poetic about how truth avenges itself. It doesn't scream or fight back. It just waits. Lies age quickly. They decay under the weight of their own inconsistency. But truth doesn't age at all. It survives every rumor, every manipulation, every whisper designed to destroy it. And one day, when everyone else runs out of stories, your truth stands tall, still pure, still undeniable. That's when the very people who once doubted you start clinging to your name to defend themselves. They can't prove honesty without pointing to you. They can't show integrity without mentioning you. You become the standard they measure against, even if they once tried to erase you. It's ironic, isn't it? How life flips the script. How you go from being the accused to being the evidence, from being the outcast to being the example. That's what happens when your truth is stronger than their lies. The power of truth is not in how loud it is, but in how long it lasts. Lies make noise, truth makes history. And once the truth surfaces, it exposes everyone's character, not just yours. You learn who was loyal, who was afraid, and who was pretending to see clearly. The turning of the tables isn't about payback. It's about perspective. The moment others are forced to use your name to validate their honesty, the power dynamic shifts completely. They realize they no longer control the narrative. You do. Not through force, but through consistency. Because you stayed true when it wasn't easy. You kept your integrity intact when it cost you comfort. You stayed real when faking it would have been easier. That's what separates truth tellers from pretenders. Endurance. And here's the part that stings for them. The more they tried to erase you, the more permanent your presence became. The more they lied about you, the more truth demanded to be heard. You didn't just survive their deceit, you outlasted it. You turned their manipulation into your monument. And now, your name carries weight, not because you forced it, but because you earned it. That's the ultimate revenge of truth. It doesn't destroy, it exposes. It doesn't retaliate, it reveals. And once revealed, there's no going back. People may forget the lies, but they never forget the one who stood firm in truth when it wasn't popular to do so. You are living proof that authenticity may take time, but it always wins. Always. They expected you to explode, to shout, to break, but instead you smiled. You didn't argue, didn't defend, didn't lower yourself to their level. That's where your real power lived. In your silence, in your self-control. Because true strength isn't about reacting, it's about mastering your emotions when chaos tries to provoke you. You understood something they didn't. Revenge is temporary, but self-discipline is eternal. The loudest person in the room rarely wins. The calmest one always does. When you chose not to fight their way, you took away their weapon. They wanted drama, attention, conflict. But you gave them indifference, and that burned deeper than any insult could. You didn't need to prove anything, because the truth was already on your side. You knew that time would do the talking, and it did. Their lies started to crumble, their narratives fell apart, and suddenly, your silence became their mirror. Every attempt they made to provoke, you ended up exposing their own insecurity. That's the art of silent revenge, letting their own actions become their punishment. People often confuse silence with weakness. But silence is not surrender, it's control. It's the space where strength gathers, where clarity sharpens, and where composure becomes your shield. You didn't have to scream your worth. You lived it. You didn't have to demand respect. Your restraint commanded it. When you stayed composed, you reminded the world that emotional control is the highest form of intelligence. While they wasted energy trying to destroy your peace, you conserved yours building your purpose. And that's why they lost. Not because they were weaker, but because they were louder. There's an elegance in letting karma speak instead of you. You didn't chase justice, you became it. You didn't beg for understanding. You let truth reveal itself in silence. And when it finally did, the same people who tried to provoke your downfall had to face their own reflection, unfiltered, undeniable. You didn't need revenge, because reality handled it better than you ever could. Your silence was the storm they never saw coming. Every calm response was a reminder that you weren't broken. You were in control. Every time you refused to react, you grew stronger, more untouchable, more unpredictable. That's the kind of power no enemy can manipulate. Because how do you defeat someone who doesn't respond the way you expect? You don't. You lose before the battle even begins. And now, when they look at you, they see someone who refused to play their game and still won. You became the living definition of restraint, dignity, and dominance. All in one. That's what silent revenge truly is, teaching the world that peace is not passive, it's powerful. The loud ones fade, the calm ones rise. And you rose without noise, without rage, without losing your center. You didn't just survive their chaos. You mastered it. You showed that the strongest move isn't always to strike back. Sometimes it's to stand still and let the truth echo louder than any response ever could. In the end, your silence screamed the loudest, and it said, "I won without even trying."